Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review, where today we are doing a one-off special transfer show. Obviously, we know that the transfer window doesn't open until January. However, that doesn't stop Newcastle United being linked with quite a few decent players out there. And of course, Alex has done his research and had a look around and see who is of it, what the stats are and things like that, and what they would bring to Newcastle United, of course. But we do have a bit of rather bad news to bring you to start the show, is that the confirmation that Alan Saint-Maximin will miss the game at Manchester United tomorrow. He is pulled up with an injury in training, and he won't be available for the game tomorrow. As Craig Hope has commented, he won't be available for Everton or Spurs. Bit of a disaster that, Alex, really, because we wanted him back, didn't we?
Yeah, well, it's an annoying one because we could have either used him as a substitute, an impact player. We could have started him. It gave us options. It gave them a headache in terms of the opposition setting up, knowing how to set up, how they were going to potentially defend either or.
Yeah.
And now it's straightforward for them. Now they just know he's not there. And now that they're 90% nailed on, know that they've got to prep for Murphy, which is not as well as Murphy's done in the last couple of games. It's not the same as prepping to face Maxi in a defensive situation. So
absolutely, yeah.
It's a shame.
It is. And look, listen, Murphy's been playing well, but it all depends on how Eddie is going to line up for the game tomorrow. Of course, he didn't give anything away in his press conference. There's nothing different, we know, than what might happen. And we just have to look forward to the game and just hope that if Murphy does play, then he continues his good form and works hard. And that's all we can ask of Murphy at the minute, just to cover. I don't think he'll throw in Elliot Anderson in. I don't think he'll throw Fraser in. I think he'll go with Murphy simply because now ASM's out. With Murphy playing so well and getting a goal last week, I think he'll keep his place. James says, hello, mods and all, watching at Metro Centre, and I'm on the train with me brother. So much fun. Oh, dear. Gary says, looks like Murphy gets another start tomorrow then. Let's hope he keeps improving, and good luck to the lad. Yeah, look, I mean, we can't sort of just say, oh God, it's Murphy. Because he's been putting it about lately. He's been doing well, so we've got to support him. Simple as that, and hope he does the work.
I mean, ultimately, they struggle with handling a high press. We have one of the best presses in the league, at current, and they make a lot of mistakes on the ball or positionally. So, and Murphy's been doing a good job of that press in the last couple of games. So,
yeah.
It's better than it would have been if we'd got the Murphy from 5-6 weeks ago. It would be a little bit more concerning. But if we can get anything like the Murphy we've had in the last couple of games, then it's a lot more positive.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon says, to be fair, the form Murphy is on right now, it's not as big as a miss as the past. Maxi being out, but this proves we need another left-sided player, maybe even a youngster, just to learn off Maxi and gradually take over. Tom, good afternoon.
You should say that.
Just stay tuned. James says, just shows Murphy can do it, but he needs to be more focused. Afternoon to Solo. Shane says, off to watch Almeria and Sheffield later. Crutches at the ready. Enjoy. Good afternoon, Tony. Afternoon, Keith. Solo's off to the O2 tonight for the all-female boxing event. Yeah, that should be a cracker as well. Peter says, good afternoon, all. Start to drool already ahead of the January window. Spacebar, good afternoon. Samsonite's here. Mawson is here. Spacebar. That's not good at all. No, it's not, matey. It really isn't. Barbara, good afternoon. An interesting show, this one. Well, that's peed on my chips, says Tony. Unfortunately so. Solo would play Joe Linton on the left for Anderson. Interesting. That's another option he's got, isn't it? He could play Joe Linton there.
It's not going to happen because Murphy scored.
Well, yeah.
Just based on Eddie Howe's like how he's made his decisions since he's been at our club.
Yeah,
he rewards form, and especially if it goes in the net, he's not being dropped. It would be. I think it could happen, but it would be a first. It goes against everything we've seen so far.
Yeah. But you know what Eddie's like for surprising us. Rickard Anderson, thank you for your 50 Swedish krona, my friend. Thank you. No link, nothing for the show really, but I saw a player on FB reference that could be interesting for the future. Adrian Truffert, left back at Rennes, or however you want to say it, looks insane. Interesting. Good afternoon, V. Stu, good afternoon. Julie J's here. Good afternoon to you as well. Kun Bob says, oh, rarely catch a live one here in Thailand. Well, welcome. And glad you're tuning in. Graham, good afternoon. Hazza says, yeah, I'd probably play Joe on the left. Interesting. William would go with, I'd go Willock at the wing and a midfield of J7, Longstaff and Bruno. We need a class left wing in January, sick of all these injuries. Michael thought Maxi was back. Yeah, so did we all, but he's pulled up in training, mate, unfortunately, which is not good. Rich is gutted about Maxi, was convinced he would start, but I have faith in Murphy at the moment. And Man United gearing up for a bid for Madison in January. Well, they can gear up as all they want. I'm convinced he will be at the Toon in January. Stu's asking any news on Isak. Nothing yet. He's still out, according to Eddie Howe yesterday in his press conference. And that's, you know, whether he's back for Everton or Spurs, we don't know yet. We will have to wait and see. We have John says we have a more depth than we had under Cashley. Ed knows what he's doing. Trust the man. Well, exactly. Trust him. Right. Who's the first player we got up today then, Alex?
So we're going to go with the one that we've been linked with for a number of months now, from some reasonably strong sources, to be fair. So Andre Santos, from Brazil. I think we got linked with him initially via Brazilian sources, and then we got a few sources back here. We've had a few more official sources. I think we've had Romano and Craig Hope mention this lad as well. So it's, like I said, I feel like it's enough sources for us to have a chat about without it being controversial. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it seems quite likely that there have been actual inquiries. So we'll have to see.
It's very heavy linked, isn't it? It's not just one person saying it. He is heavily linked.
So we have looked at him very briefly before, but it's kind of good that we get to look at him again because he's progressed a lot throughout this season. As I've explained to everybody before, the way the Brazilian leagues work at the moment, it's typically March to April to December. Started a little bit earlier this year because of the World Cup, the Winter World Cup, or Christmas World Cup, whatever we're calling it. So he's now 18, turned 18 on the 3rd of May. He is, what's 179 in real money? About 5'11"-ish. So he's 5'11", plays in the 8 role. A lot of people seem to think he's a defensive midfielder and have been talking about him sort of being an understudy as a 6. And he's a lot more of an 8 than a 6, in my opinion. Having watched a number of games of him now, I'm actually really getting into Brazilian football. It's very, very interesting. It's just on at silly o'clock in the morning most of the time.
It's a bit crazy from time to time as well.
So if we scroll, where did I want to scroll first? So in terms of Vasco da Gama, his actual club, they're in the 2nd division in Brazil. Standings wise, they are having a very good season. They are in the promotion spots. So in the way it works in this 2nd league, and the 1st league is, it's the top 4 get promoted. No playoffs, no nothing. Just the top 4 go up. And then the bottom 4 from the top division come down. So it's just a straight swap.
Of course, Vasco are one of the huge clubs in Brazil, of course. They've had a
you've got Grêmio up there as well in 2nd, which, so hopefully we get those 2 clubs back up to the top division. So they are on course for promotion. There's people biting at their heels, though. They do have a game in hand, but there's people behind them. So they've had a reasonably good season. They started off a bit slow. A lot of games earlier on in the season, low possession stats. They were the underdogs. They were having to soak up pressure. And this kind of the theme runs true for Andre Santos as well. It's almost had 3 phases in this season for him. So if we scroll back and have a look at, so where's the start of the season? We've got to go all the way back to, so here we go. We've got March. He's on the bench for their funny little weird tournament that they play. They don't have a preseason. They play a funny summer league. It's odd. So it starts here, first 3 games on the bench. So he doesn't play the first 3 games. And then he gets his first game in April against Ponte Preta, which is quite an interesting game. If we have a little look. So this will teach people how they line up as well, not we. 4-2-3-1s, some 4-4-2s in there. He seems to play left side of a double pivot or right side of a double pivot, and his heat maps vary. He sometimes dominates sort of the left side and central, or the right side and central. He's quite flexible. Starts off very raw in the beginning of the season. So very, very low passing stats at the start of the season. The first few months, not involved very much. It's his partner, Yuri Lara, that gets most of the passes on the ball. Think back to when it was all of our other midfielders used to just give it to Shelby.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more like that, because Andre Santos was a bit more raw at that point. So it was just giving the ball to slightly more competent players. Maybe it was instructional. It's decided to reset it for me. But he was very, very physical. Seven ground duels out of 10. He got fouled 3 times. This is a theme you'll see. In most games, he's getting fouled 5 or 6 times. It's outrageous. He's for his age, bearing in mind this is an 18-year-old. He's getting fouled somewhere between 3 and 5 times per match. I think it's on average over 3. So he's drawing 3 free kicks per game for his club as an 18-year-old, which just shows the physicality and the awareness is there. His strength is down as a bit meh, but I think it's fine. I think he's brilliant. His physicality is great for his age. 4 tackles as well. So he likes to put himself about, but I think we can all agree it's quite raw at this point. Low numbers of touches, a bit scrappy. And then the mid part of the season, it starts to pick up a lot. He starts to be a lot more involved in the passing sequences, having a lot more touches of the ball, chipping in with the odd goal. Quite a low number of yellow cards considering how he plays. If anybody goes and watches, even if you go and watch some of those funny YouTube highlights, he's really aggressive. Kind of concerns me. He can't play exactly like that in the Premier League if he were to come, because half of those would be VAR checked. Some of the slide tackles are very aggressive. So what was the next game? It was Londrina I wanted to have a look at, which was down here. So that is a few months into the season. So this is where it kind of started to get a little bit better. His average ratings went up, scored a goal. So we're in a 4-4-2 here. He's still got his Yuri Lara next to him, his partner. So
he's on the right side of the middle there, isn't he?
He is on the right side. He's swapped over. He's playing a lot of minutes as well. So you can see here, 61 touches, a lot more touches. Still a bit sloppy with the passing, but he's involved a lot more in the passing sequences. He's seeing a lot more of the ball. 3 key passes. So he's adding a lot more danger to his game. 1 shot on target, 3 successful dribbles as well, managing to drive it through midfield. Another 10 ground duels, 5 fouls he managed to draw. So 5 free kicks for his team, 2 tackles.
So you have to remember looking at these stats, Alex, that he is only 18 years old. You know,
yeah, he's playing against the League of Men.
Exactly. Brazilian football is interesting at times, to say the least.
Indeed. So this middle section of the season, definitely getting way more involved in the play, growing in confidence. He just feels like he's maturing month to month, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then in more recent months, started adding a few more goals and just being a lot more mature with his game. 2 goals here, 2 here as well. And even more impressive, you can have a look on these kind of statistical websites. When players get yellow cards, it really tanks their rating. So for him to still have these kind of ratings with the bookings as well, still very, very impressive. So he still managed to get a 7.7 here, despite the yellow card, which is because, if we go and we're back to a 4-2-3 run with him on the right. If we scroll down, see his heat map, he's absolutely everywhere. Scrolling a little bit more so people can see that. So he's absolutely everywhere. 87 minutes. He's, again, really, you can see what I mean by he started to grow into, he's maturing. 4 long balls, 2 key passes, a lot more touches, a lot more. He's really, really a lot more involved in play. 1 shot off target, 1 shot blocked, hit the woodwork. He's winning a lot of duels. He's constantly mucking in the midfield. Again, 5 fouls. This is a super, super common theme. 5 fouls is pretty crazy. And again, 4 tackles, 2 interceptions. So he's just involved in everything. And one thing I like when I watch him play is at times there's 2 or 3 of his teammates a little bit passive, walking around. He's not constantly running. It does remind me of the way we play. He's constantly on people's heels, being very aggressive and frustrating. And so the way he plays as well, he's very technical, a lot more Brazilian in terms of lots of the ball sort of bouncing and dinking it over people. Loves his 1-2s, similarly to how we see Bruno and Miggy play. Lots of little 1-2s trying to link play. It's just really, really, really impressive.
Definitely an exciting player without
for
an
18-year-old.
Yeah,
he would be somebody that would fit straight into any position in midfield. Possibly far too young for the number 6, but outrageously good talent. will be hoovered up by somebody like a top club.
Yeah. V says, I don't know much about Kuol. I know we already have him, but would you mind covering him a bit too, please? Well, we have covered him slightly, but what we're doing is I've been in touch with someone in Australia, actually, who used to be his coach, and he's agreed to come onto the show, so we're just going to schedule a date for that, and we'll get Kuol's former coach on the show, and he will give us a lot more information on Garang Kuol. Graham says, would he get a work permit, Alex? Again, not yet. No. So we probably have to loan him out again.
It'd have to be. But this is a very common thing. When Real Madrid and Barcelona fish in this kind of area, they have to wait 1, 2, 3 years before these players can go and play. I think it was the same with Vinicius Jr., wasn't it? I'm pretty sure he had to stay in Brazil for 18 months to 2 more years.
Something they have to that, yeah.
They have to have X number of appearances, or they have to have national team youth level appearances. They have to have, requisite amount of things to qualify for permits.
Spacebar says, it does concern me the amount of muscle injuries we're getting. AJ says, afternoon, lads. I expect a tough time for us tomorrow, although I'm confident of a win. We're up against 12 men plus officials and Fergie's halftime talk with the ref. Maxie's out, mate, so forget Maxie. Daniel says, effing terrible news. What is wrong with Saint? Needs to sort himself out. He's becoming a Callum Wilson. Well, they're both very injury prone at the minute, I think. Spacebar says every player, with the exception of Kraft, is out through muscle injuries.
It's the style of play. It happens.
Yeah. Would Santos have to be loaned out like Kuol? Yes, he would. Soli says, all right, lads, was just typing in and greeting and heard the Maxi news. Devastating to hear that anyway. 15 minutes behind. Let's go. Look, he's going to be an exciting player, and it's certainly a yes for me. I think, again, it's all about Newcastle United building for the future, which we spoke about many times on the show, and without a doubt, he is again somebody that we can look forward to seeing in the future and becoming part of the Newcastle United build. There's no doubt about that. Right, next player, Alex.
So this is whispers, but there are whispers that we're also just looking at his not his mate, but his teammate, his colleague. Eguinaldo, however we say this one.
Well, if he's 18-year-old as well, he probably is a mate, isn't he? I mean, same age.
Well, there's not a lot of data on him, but it doesn't say it here, but he is left-footed. Let me zoom in a little bit so people can actually see as well. So he is left-footed, 5'9". Generally plays on the left wing. He's 13 goals from 27 appearances for the club so far. And if we scroll down to his... So far this season, he's started 7 matches, but he's played 15. He's only averaging 49 minutes a game. So he's not an integral part of the team. He's a squad player at the moment, with 3 goals. And he's very much a future player. He's not putting in the same sorts of performances that Andre Santos is in midfield to have the huge buzz, but he's still a very, very promising player. He's very, very technical, but again, more in a Brazilian way. And what I mean by that is sort of Maxi likes a lot of off the ball magic, body feints and the eyes and the shimmies, whereas this guy's far more technical in terms of he will try his trickery with the ball. Lots of, again, sort of how Bruno plays. He likes to take it on the bounce a lot, and lots of moving it, trying to do his tricks with the ball as opposed to with his body. Yeah. People again have said his physicality is not quite there. I don't know. I've seen him. I've seen this kid a couple of times, and it was before we were linked with him. It was when I was watching Andre Santos. So I've seen him. I wasn't entirely focused on him anyway, but he looks okay. He's fairly strong. Likes to drive through. He doesn't give up on lost causes. He will chase things down. But he's still very, very raw and very, very young. And it's too difficult to... There's not really enough data for me to show you here. He's not really played enough games. The 3 goals were inside the box. They were clever positioning. You made sure... I think 2 of them, you made sure he was there for them, just being aware as an attacker. But I think this guy would need... I mean, if Andre Santos needs another year in the league minimum before joining, then this guy needs even more than that. I think he's still a little bit little bit young.
Yeah.
Exciting, but far beyond my sort of level to tell you whether this kid's going to be amazing or not. I've got no idea. It's something where you'd have to go and watch a lot more of it. Whereas Andre Santos, for an armchair merchant, is a lot easier. It's an easier shoe-in to sort of say he's going to be a good player.
Yeah.
But this is just another name that we're linked with. Is his teammate. Possibly we were just looking at the whole team when we looked. It's very possible.
Dark by Design says, how long is the loan from January to the summer? Then they can be in the squads. I don't know how it all works, to be honest. I don't know what the legalities are now. You know, with us, you could talk about Brexit and everything else, is how it's affected a lot of things. But you know, obviously the clubs will know, and we just have to leave it with them. There's nothing else really to say on that.
We've not really had that issue yet, have we? Because
no, we haven't. No.
A lot of other players came in pre-Brexit, and the ones that have come in post-Brexit have had international clearance, such as Bruno. Yeah. So it's a bridge we'll have to cross when we come to it.
Indeed. Everton game on Wednesday will be on Amazon. Yep, it is. Header says, hello from New Zealand. Is Wood playing? No. I think Wood be, well, he'd be on the bench tomorrow, definitely, because Isak's not there. So Spacebar says, I do like that we are looking in the South American leagues and nations for talent. Even Nobby Solano has set up a coaching school and given us preference for any upcoming talents there. Yes, he has, and I think that may come in handy in the future, certainly with what Nobby's doing there. So we just, you never know what the future is going to hold. Kungle Fox says, with this very interesting Billy picture there, Sean Longstaff in the midfield and Big Joe out wide. Now Maxi is out. David wants to play Elliot Anderson, and Rich says, I think we will start with the same team as we have in the last two games now. Big Joe on the bench is useful if things are not going well, but the bench is a worry as always. I think Joe will play tomorrow, but
I want him in midfield. We need a bit more oomph.
We do, and
it doesn't mean that the existing midfield haven't done okay. They have. We won the last two games, but
no, Joe Linton's the type of player that will get right into Bruno Fernandez's face, and he will compete, and so will Bruno, our Bruno, to be honest. They'll all get stuck in, and I'm sure Eddie has, picked out where we can get at Manchester United and where the opportunities are. So
it'll be another funny one because we've seen it in the past. Actually, that I think when we played against Benfica as well, Bruno and Joe Linton were both a lot more aggressive in those games because they could understand the opposition a lot better and they could communicate with them. And Joe Linton especially was getting very aggy. I think that was his red card. Was it in that game? I think it might have been. Yes. So I think it might be interesting because they've got a couple of Portuguese speaking players, and they can understand them. So hopefully they keep their heads cool.
Yep. Barbara says, great result for us. Leicester 0, Palace 0. Yeah, Leicester are really struggling, to be honest. And is it the end for Rodgers? We will see. Right, next one up on the list. I'll let you say his name, Alex.
Viktor Tsehankov. He is Israeli-born, Ukrainian. Tsehankov, yeah. So this is a really I like this one because we were scouring throughout the whole of the summer when we were looking at linked players. They were always on Maxi's side, and we were like, well, who's going to play on the right? It was Diaby, and then not a lot else. There was a few, but so this is a right winger, left-footed, can play that inverted winger how Eddie Howe seems to want to play. The way Miggy's playing, obviously this guy doesn't play exactly the same as Miggy. Miggy's quite a unique player.
He is indeed.
24 years old, but 334 days. So he's very nearly 25, getting into that peak age. Been around for a long time and been a very highly respected player. So a guy I follow on Twitter, Jacek Kulik, he does the Football Talent Scout page. He tweeted in 2019 about this guy. And at the time of the tweet, this was nearly 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, he played 137 games with 49 goals and 46 assists for Dynamo Kiev. So he is a very experienced lad. Played, he's 43 caps for the Ukraine with 7 goals. He's played Champions League, Europa League. He's done qualifiers. He's been in the Ukrainian Premier League. He's won the title with Dynamo Kiev. Yep. He's played in a number of competitions and been a top player. So he's by no means from a farmers league. Fair enough. It is a weaker league generally, but he's still played in a lot of other sort of tournaments for them and been very impressive.
Yeah.
So if we scroll down, his FB ref is not super flattering. In his defense, this is pretty much only showing his Europa League minutes. And I think we can all agree it is slightly disrupted by what's going on. There's been a lot of logistical tweaks and clubs not training perfectly, and it's so I'm reluctant to look at this. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on this, to be fair.
Yeah,
and it is slightly concerning seeing Ryan Fraser over here.
You can't really base it, especially with what's going on. It's very, very difficult to get.
It's only on 700 minutes played. This is
which is nothing
what the stats
really
are based on.
Yeah,
which is a low pool, to be fair. So if we go down and have a look at the club and the history, first place finish in 2021 season with him being 22 years old. So this was when the hype was the highest. And if we go back and have a look at his goals and assists.
Yeah, I was going to say, he knows where the back of the net is, doesn't he?
Yeah. Last season, 11, season before 12, season before 14, the season before that, 18, third. It's plus 10 every year. So it's consistent with good amounts of assists as well.
Yeah.
And if you also look at the minutes, he played the same amount of minutes as Sean Longstaff last season and got 11 goals, 2 assists. From the right wing, playing as that inverted right winger, which is how we want to play. So it's an option. It's very, very interesting. He also has his contract expires at the end of this season, I believe. Did I not have his? Here it is. So his transfer marked. There we go. Contract expires June 2023. So he's valued at around 25 million euros. He's not going to be worth that in January. So we'll have to see.
Or we go in January and get a pre-contract agreement and he comes for nothing in the summer.
Yeah, it depends on etiquette as well and national pride and stuff. With everything that's going on, some people want to stay with their clubs. It's controversial. It's a tricky topic. But if he wants a move and we want the player, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's it's somebody who's about to go into that peak age. It fits the bracket. He's about to turn 25. We're going to get the best years out of him. Fingers crossed. He's the right position. Year left on his contract. He's got good pedigree. Scored many, many goals season after season. He's been with the Ukrainian national setup since he was in the under 16. So he's been all the way through the youth setup with the national team. And again, gives us flexibility along the front line. I'm sure he'd be quite capable of having a stint over on the opposite side, drifting centrally. I've not watched too much of him. I'm not going to lie. His name's only come up recently. They do still have 2 more Europa League games left for Dinamo Kiev, so I will go and try and watch one of them. I think they play Fenerbahce as their last game, so I'll try and watch that and see with my own eyes.
Well, he certainly looks a player, doesn't he? He certainly looks
very, very interesting.
We can get a lot out of and can give us a lot, to be honest.
I hope
good experience. He's won things. He's played at an international level. I don't think there's much thought in that. I think
we need some cover on that right side, whether it's somebody to go ahead of Miggy or to somebody to challenge Miggy. Either way, the left side, we're talking about Fraser, Murphy, Maxi, Joe Linton, new signings. There's so many options. Elliot Anderson as well. There's so many people we talk about for that left wing. Right wing at the moment, it's maybe we'll play Isak that side and Miggy. So we could do with a bit more depth on that side, possibly a bit more strength in depth as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Possibly this is why we're looking there.
Yeah. Well, for me, he would excite me as a signing. There's no doubt about that, without a shadow of a doubt. So we will wait and see. A lot of people are talking about Mudryk in the comments. Yeah, he's certainly somebody that we've also been heavily linked with.
I think we've probably got enough names to do a second show, to be fair.
Yeah, we have. Yeah. This one's only around 50 minutes today, guys, but we will certainly do another one. Adam says, I read yesterday in January, Newcastle is interested in Trabzonspor goalkeeper Yurakan Kahir. Thoughts? He is a very good goalkeeper, actually. I think I signed him once on Football Manager, to be honest. So I don't think he's a bad goalkeeper. But
there's a lot of names.
Yeah, I don't think goalkeepers will be a priority in January, though, Alex. Or do you think
probably
maybe
not?
No.
Well, I mean, depending on if as long as Carl Darlow's recovery goes well, and we don't have any issues with Pope, Yeah, probably we should probably be fine. It should be fine. But we've got Mudrik, Sakir. We've also been linked with the youngsters in the UK of Bobby Wales and Chris Rigg as well. So there are other young talents to talk about. But
it's amazing,
not
isn't it,
today's
the
show.
amount of youngsters that we're looking at though as a club, or potentially
Yeah,
looking
we're
at.
looking up in Scotland and up in teams from the Championship as well. So even stealing some Mackham youth talent, which is interesting.
Indeed, which is even funnier, really. Matthew says, as a Toon fan, Murphy he thinks will play out of his skin against the Mancunian Mackhams. He will. Look, he's a fan. He'll want to do really, really well, and he'll want to perform. And look, if he's in the team tomorrow, he'll get our support as per usual. And then, if he has a poor game or a good game, well, we'll talk about it in the review show at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So make sure we don't miss that either. Geordie Toon for Life says, Alex, was it last year we spoke about Mudrik? I asked you for some stats, which you kindly provided. Yes, he did. Mudrik was part of our transfer shows.
It was when he first came on. There was a lot of hype about him, and then it was Ukraine's first game back since the war, wasn't it? I think it was the Scotland. It was when they were trying to build up for the qualifiers. They didn't get through against Scotland, and we saw him come on a few times. And everybody was like, "Oh God, this guy's pretty good." Still, I've not watched too much of him, but I need to. It
does excite me. Daniel says USA are lining up sanctions against Saudi for cutting oil supply. We stay away from the politics, matey. We're here for football. Right, Paulinho.
Yes. So I know there are many people with this name. This is probably not.
Well, it's probably about the 19th player with the name Paulinho that's playing in the footballing world at the minute.
It is a nightmare when you search these stat websites, because a lot of the time they're traditionally Brazilian players or Brazilian names. They have 4 or 5 names. They're this of the this. It will always be something along the lines of like Jake of the Bridge by the Bumblebee of the Butterflies Mountain. It will be something like that in Brazilian. And
where the hell are you going with this?
It's, to be fair, some Spanish traditional names are like that as well, and they've just got so much in the middle.
Butterflies and mountains. I never thought
what it's like.
On a transfer
Honestly,
show.
it's what it's like. It's what it's like.
Wow.
So that is why most of them have just got. They'll have just a blanket name. So Paulinho, anyway.
Yes.
Bayer Leverkusen. Obviously, this is the same team as Diaby, who we were very, very linked with. So I have seen this guy
who are having an absolutely rotten season at the moment.
We'll have a little look.
Yes.
So this guy plays in the maxi role, left wing, right-footed. Not getting as many minutes as he would like because Callum Hudson-Odoi has gone on loan to Bayer Leverkusen, so they're sharing the minutes around. A lot of substitutions specifically between those two, and Diaby's obviously getting all the minutes on the other side because he's just a machine. As you can see here, 25,000 euros estimated weekly wages, with a contract also expiring at the end of this season, which is very nice. Dan Ashworth talked about finances and being able to sustain kind of what we're spending. Yeah. And it's interesting that a lot of our linked players are either young players or people with contracts expiring. We spoke about this in the summer, how during COVID, a lot of contract extensions were quite conservative because financial issues. So we're actually getting to the nice juicy point for us where there's a lot of talented players in different leagues that didn't get those long contract extensions because they were restricted during COVID and they didn't have the money to throw around. So very, very sad, unfortunately, for the clubs, but it's good for us. I mean, we don't often get the good luck. So, I mean, we'll take it. So this guy, if we scroll down, this is the good stuff. This is
lots
the real
green.
Good stuff.
That's what we like to see.
I mean, primarily, if you go down and have a look at his statistical matches list, when you've got on this list Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, Wilfried Zaha, Lozano, Lookman, very, very tidy players.
Martins, who's a brilliant footballer.
Well.
Yeah.
So he's keeping good company on that list. Style of play, you can see here, lots of progressive carries, 7.38 progressive carries per 90, completing lots of dribbles, lots of touches in the attacking penalty area, receiving the ball very, very high up. Good non-penalty goals number at 0.35 per 90. That's lovely. Non-penalty XG is a little bit under that, but it means he's performing there or thereabouts where he should be. Shot creating actions, I'd like that to be a little bit higher, but it's still fine. not as much of a passer. He tends to just be a lot higher up anyway. Tidy passing, just very, very competent. And if we go down, look where he came from.
Vasco da Gama.
Yeah, it's like a funny circle with this show, honestly. When I was prepping for it, everything just kept connecting
Maybe we
like a
should just
puzzle.
make Vasco our farm team. It just seems like it's interesting. So many players that started there or are there at the minute. Why not put a deal in place with Vasco and just have players coming to us from their production line?
If only it were that simple.
I know.
So yeah, last season, 14 starts, 24 appearances with 1,200 minutes. Not that many minutes, but 4 goals, 1 assist is quite nice. Still only 22 years old, remember? And then this season has only made 2 appearances, not starts, because of that pesky Callum Hudson-Odoi, which would have probably been better off in our team. We could have done with him as a wing option right now with all of our injuries, but unfortunately, teams' reluctance to loan to us is hurting us a little bit. So we'll have a look at his SOFA score. Valuation's not super high. 5'9", so he's a little bit smaller actually. Where are my notes for him? Yeah, he's only 5'9", a little bit smaller. Not much to go on for this season. Total played 2, 15 minutes. So there's nothing there. I might as well go back and click on the 21-22 season, which was last season. You can see his average heat map suggests he is very much left winger, has taken corners as well. Only on that side though, so he'll take the in swingers for him. And then if we go down, 1 team of the week, 4 goals. Yeah, reasonable. Where were the goals from? So 1 headed goal, 1 left-footed goal, 2 right-footed goals, and he won a penalty for his team. So some variety in the goals there. 2 assists as well. So competent numbers. He's being
How old is he, Alex?
22.
22. So
July 15th birthday. So he's 22 years and a bit. So yeah, reasonably good age to be fair. It's not 100%. This is a little bit of a gamble, but it would be considerably cheaper than Diaby. Obviously, this guy would go for massively less. But this would be a gamble as to whether he could put up numbers in the Premier League. You would imagine so, but it's never a God-given right that this is going to translate effectively into the English game, or into even a different league. But the signs are there, the underlying statistics are there. It's just strange how he's not getting much of a look in this year. If we scroll down and have a look, they're playing right now. Oh, how cool is that? They're playing against Frankfurt right now. 8 minutes in. Is he playing? Just out of curiosity, he is. He is playing. He's playing on the left. So he's starting with Diaby and Patrick Schick. So that's a strong lineup. As you know, Michel Bach has joined them. We were linked with him before we went and got Target and stuff on loan. So if we have a look at the show,
I mean, you look at Leverkusen, a front three of
they look strong.
Either Hudson-Odoi or Paulinho, and then you've got Patrick Schick and you've got Diaby, and they are really having a rotten season.
Yeah, it is strange. It's very, very odd. But there you can see Callum Hudson-Odoi getting the starts. Was replaced later on. So if we scroll all the way down, Xabi Alonso, of course, is the manager.
He's just taken over.
There's a lot of funny names, and Timothy Fosu-Mensah, which people might remember from Man United as well. Here he is. So yeah, he got a goal, but it was an 88th minute substitution for Callum Hudson-Odoi. So. If you scroll down,
well, do you know what I mean? He does look a good player, and again, for where he plays, we need backup there. We know we need backup there, and he could definitely be an option. V says, I love that you guys do this. I don't follow international leagues at all, so these shows are really helpful. Spacebar says it's possible to help promote the area, especially as we do Magic Weekend for the Rugby League. Newcastle need to buy a number 6 and a winger. Adam says, I've caught a few Leverkusen games, a bit like Leicester, a lot of individual talent, but no identity as a team. If we can get Paulinho, that would be a dream.
I don't know about a dream. I think it could be. It very much could be, but there's no guarantee with him. I think, players like Bruno, the underlying stats were so good. I mean, even if you take some quality away from Bruno, he's still going to be a very good player. It was pretty obvious that it would translate into at least good. Whereas with Paulinho, it's no guarantee he's going to come in and be amazing. But there's a fair chance. He's got a lot
Well, I
of
think
good
it's great that
underlying
we're looking at all
statistics,
the players that we've looked at today. You look at the ages of them and you think, wow, we are certainly looking at the future as well as now. You rarely hear of Newcastle United after a player over 25 years of age at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, not one of these people today we've looked at is 25 plus.
No.
They're all under 25. So,
and that has to be exciting for us as fans, because bringing in all these youngsters and talent and things like that, they are going to be players for the future as well as some of them for the now. But what they're trying to do is, what it looks like is they're bringing all these youngsters in to gel now and can only get better going forward. So gel in the sort of, the under 23s, etc. And then by the time they make the first team, these guys are going to all know each other and know each other's game, and hopefully have improved as well, even more since coming in. So it's very, very exciting.
Yeah, and when you factor in that we've added 5 to the youth squad, to the academy as well, you've got Alex Murphy captaining the youth team now, who's the new signing from Ireland. And we looks likely we're going to try and add another couple to the youth academy. So it means, if we're raising the level of the first team, but also raising the level of the academy, hopefully we've got some youngsters, hot on the heels of people. We want 2 or 3 more to do what Elliot Anderson's done. I mean, we look across the leagues and you've got so many Arsenal youngsters that have gone out on loan, Chelsea youngsters, that a lot of them go out on loan to Premier League teams and are quite competent. So imagine if our academy gets to that strength where we're loaning 4 or 5 out to other Premier League teams and they're doing well at a Premier League level. Like, if we were to loan anybody out of our academy now, I mean, no disrespect to the lads in the academy, they are what they are and they try very hard. But if we loaned out any lads from the academy, are they going to go and start for Premier League teams? Probably not. Maybe Anderson would get games. Whereas that you can say differently about some of the players from the traditional top sides. So that's what we're working towards, is just trying to drag the overall level. This is the whole reason we've got Dan Ashworth. It's not just about the first team. Yeah. It's about improving processes like across the board. And it's really important for improving as a team.
Yep. Rich says, do you come across fans of other clubs that simply don't believe we are a threat and not going to be challenging soon? I'm stunned when people don't take us seriously. Well, they will. Look, I think what the fact of the matter is, we've got to make our, we've got to do it on the pitch and let them see how well we're improving. And then that's when people will start taking us seriously, when we're starting to win things and we're, everything like that. So I wouldn't, basically don't listen to them, because a lot of it is just jealousy as well. Just barefaced jealousy. And it's crazy. Adam says, Paul, great point. So excited for the future. V says, many upsides of bringing in youth, cheaper, less ego, could be molded much easier. Solid planning taking that route. Soli says, Rich, I watch fan forums of every opposing side before we play them, and yes, I've found that. David says,
I do that as well. It's very cheeky.
Yeah, seen many false dawns. This time it's different. Absolutely, it's different. Dark by Design says, you wonder when they will get a chance, though. Anderson can't get a start even now. Well, yeah, but I think, if we look at what they're actually doing, it's not just one individual player. I think, we'll be okay. We'll be okay.
People have got to remember, we've not started FA Cup yet. And we're still in the Carabao Cup. So he is going to get at least 3 or 4 games in cups.
I think Anderson will definitely start the Carabao game against Palace. I really genuinely think that. William says Trossard is out of contract at the end of the season, which is interesting. Rich says other fans just jealousy and arrogance. The future's bright. The future's Newcastle. Indeed it is. No doubt about that. Right. Do you want to quickly touch on James Madison, Alex?
Yeah, we can do. Let's just bring him up. Yeah, so very, 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 very good start to the season for Mr. Madison. God, I even don't like his picture. He's even got that cheeky grin in his picture.
Yeah,
like
he has
just
been
cheated or
he has
died,
been
doesn't
booked
he?
today, though, Alex, for taking a dive in the injury time. So he's actually suspended for the next Leicester game.
Oh dear. Still 25 years old. I mean, arguably he's not in his peak. I mean, peak is 25 to 28, but somewhere around then. But he's peaked considerably early. He's been doing this for the last couple of seasons. I mean, he was a very exciting talent coming from Norwich anyway. So valuation's still pretty high. But let's go over and have a look at his season so far and scroll down. So, started all 9 of the 9 matches. He's been in one team of the week, and he's already on 5 goals. If we scroll down, and 2 assists. So, 7 goal contributions from 9 matches, and he's not a striker. So, can you imagine if our people playing in similar positions, it's arguable where he would play. But if you replace Longstaff or Willock's output for us this year with Madison's output, we are in the top 4 comfortably. You put Madison in our starting 11, we are in the top 4 for. I think it's impossible for us not to accumulate enough points to be on their heels. I mean, we're already on their heels anyway, and we've had so many injuries and controversy. If we pop Madison in, I think that takes us another level up. And whether it's right wing or in midfield, he can do both.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we might as well bring up his FBRF. Why not? Just because it's very good. Madison. Not Marcus Madison, James Madison. No. 110,000 per week, roughly. So he would still fit in with our wage structure. We could still offer him around that. We wouldn't have to smash it. We could offer him that with incentives. He's not stupid. Well, I hope he's not. He would assume that as the project grows, the wage structure is going to improve as we sort of grow. We can't be offering people Champions League wages when we're not getting the revenue of the Champions League. It just doesn't work like that. But we will progress into that. Oh God, he is nearly 26. Actually, he's getting there. So this is what people want to see. This is the money. So yeah, crazy. Non-penalty goals per 90. So this is if we scroll down and have a look at the bottom here, this is based on 3,000 minutes. So this is a huge sample size. His non-penalty goals per 90 is 0.53. That's slightly more than Callum Wilson's. Arguably roughly the same as Callum Wilson's. And Wilson is a striker and it's lethal. We know Callum Wilson, when he plays, is lethal. So this is a midfielder who is putting up that. It's the output. It's just ridiculous. 3 shots per game, again, it is amazing. 4.33 shot creating actions is incredible. He's chipping in with a lot of assists. He's getting an assist every 2.5 to 3 games as well. Comfortable in a possession dominant team. Good passer. Pressures aren't too hard either. Considering Leicester do control a lot of games in terms of high possession, he's still putting up good pressures and stuff as well. So I'm sure that
you can see that when he's on the pitch. When you're watching him, he does like to get in there and get stuck in, and absolutely, he does close down a lot, which I think not a lot of people realise that that's exactly in his game.
European experience as well. I'm not sure. Has he played Champions League? Did they qualify when he was still there? I think he must have done, surely. I don't think we can actually see it here, but look, last season, I mean, we looked at this the other day with 12 goals, 8 assists. He's putting up good numbers. And in terms of his statistical matches, this is good company to keep. Paulo Dybala, Zielinski for Napoli. Napoli, outrageous this year. Very, very, very good team. Mason Mount as well, who's kind of reborn slightly in the last sort of month. But yeah, if we could get him for whatever money, the talk was, I think it was somewhere between 40 and 55 was the argument in the summer. This 6 months fewer remaining on his contract come January. So, and arguably, I think he's a little bit frustrated that he's being overlooked at international level as well. And no disrespect to Leicester intended, but they have been way above where we've been, winning an FA Cup, winning a league, being in European football. But I think the trajectories of the club right now are swapping somewhat. I think it's more likely to suggest we're going to get Champions League again before they do. I think that's a fair statement. And if you James Madison, kind of makes sense. Might get back into the England team.
I think he'd love it up here. I do. I genuinely think he'd love it. And he'd certainly fit right in. And listen, I don't care what you say. When fans are criticising him for, diving and things like that, I think Eddie Howe would knock that out of his game. I really do. I don't think Rodgers is basically strong enough as a manager at the minute. He's struggling always. But I think with regards to Madison and that type of thing in his game, I think that would be knocked out of his game. And I think for the better. And no Newcastle fan can tell me that they don't want Madison. I think it would be crazy because he's a talent. And he would improve our side no matter what.
Yeah, Madison, if we, for example, got a number 6 in, like a top level number 6 in the summer, and we had Madison as well, we would arguably be able to have Bruno and Madison in front of a top level 6. Like, that is a Champions League midfield all day long.
Indeed.
Yeah, very, 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 very frightening for the opposition.
Absolutely. So there you go, guys. That is the end of the transfer show. Just a quick one for you today, just to go through a few players that we've been linked with. We will, of course, bring you more of these because we do have other names to bring you as well. Remember, these are just players that are linked in the media. We're just having a look at them and seeing what the stats are, what they would bring to Newcastle United should they sign. We're not saying these are signings that are definitely going to happen. We don't know. We're not in the know. We don't know what's going to happen. But all we do is just look at them and think, right, what will these bring to Newcastle United should they sign? And we've got more shows on that to come because we do have plenty more names. But if you have enjoyed today's show, guys, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and become part of this Toon Review community. Subscribers are going up every day. We're getting closer to 15,000 every day, which is just an incredible goal for us. And also, you can become a member if you hit the join button just underneath the video. Thank you to the super chatters today. Thank you to everybody that's joined us. Alex, thank you for your company throughout the show. Thank you to the mod squad. And I'll be back tomorrow at 1:30 with the big one, Manchester United against Newcastle United from Old Trafford. 1:30 with the build-up and the team news. And then from 2 o'clock, live commentary of the game from Old Trafford. So really looking forward to that one. And tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, we will bring you the full match review with myself, Alex, Danielle, and Billy, all four of us for that one, to look back over the game, what went right, what went wrong, and of course, the all-important player ratings. And hopefully we'll be celebrating coming away from Old Trafford with at least something to shout about tomorrow. But only time will tell. But thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you at 1:30 tomorrow afternoon. Take care.